I'm Daniel Bennett, and we're bringing Saxy back to Philadelphia.
and welcome back to Bringing Sexy Back. I'm your host, Lady Z, and today we would like to welcome Daniel Bennett of the Daniel Bennett Group. So, hi, thank you for coming.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Great. You had an awesome set. We really enjoyed you. It was a nice little jazz set.
Thank you. We were playing really loud. I think we woke up the neighbors, but that's okay.
It was good music, so that's all that matters.
Thank you.
So, I read that the New York City Hot House magazine recently named you Best New Jazz Group. How did the Daniel Bennett Group come to be?
Well, the group is celebrating our 10th year as a touring jazz ensemble. We started in Boston when I was at grad school at the New England Conservatory, and I formed it. The original intent was actually saxophone, banjo, and percussion. The banjo's gone now, and we have electric guitar. And I work with Nat Janoff and Matthew Feick almost exclusively, especially on the road. So they were performing with me just now. And the group has toured. We do about 150 tour dates a year. We have 7 full-length albums out and a lot of just hard work and grind, and that's where we are today. So just hard work, you know? Sometimes the most simple thing is to just practice a lot, work hard, and play hard.
Right. Okay, so now your band consists of a combination of you as a saxophonist, the drummer, and the guitarist.
And guitar.
What made you decide upon that trio of instruments?
It sounds great for one thing. The guitar is almost my favorite instrument. I am a saxophonist, but I do love the guitar. I actually write all of my music from the guitar. People don't know this usually. I don't play guitar like Nat Janoff. I am just a saxophone player, but I love the sound of the guitar, and it's a great instrument for accompanying. And then the drums, Matt Feick can fit his drum sound into any situation. And if you notice from our performance just now, my guitar player, Nat, has like 9 pedals, so he can do like phasing and looping and chorus and all sorts of cool extra sounds to sort of fill up the music.
Okay,
yeah.
Excellent. And the Boston Globe described your music as a mix of jazz, folk, and minimalism. How would you describe the music style of your band in your own words?
You know, it's changed a lot since those days. Our music was very influenced by minimalism, Steve Reich, Philip Glass, Terry Riley, John Adams, but we moved away from that. I'm classically trained, so I do have an ear kind of in that direction, but it's changed a lot. I would say now it's much closer to avant pop, surf rock, funk, fusion, kind of electric, more of a bigger sound.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And what parts of the world, if any, influence the band's musical style, do you think?
Well, avant pop, Brian Wilson is one of my favorite musicians in the world. Pet Sounds by the Beach Boys, obviously American composer, and I have 2 children. I live in Manhattan, and we have a little apartment in Manhattan, and it's something that I like to do to keep the kids occupied in such a small, little space is where we put on the Beach Boys, and we just listen to Pet Sounds all day.
Yeah.
And so Pet Sounds, that kind of aesthetic really informs what I do. But as far as world music, I do love the sounds of Armenian folk music. I've done some touring with various groups that perform that type of music. Of course, I love Latin music. As a jazz musician, you study a lot of that stuff. Jobim. Last night we did a set where we were doing Corcovado, Desafinado, Girl from Ipanema. We were doing all the Jobim stuff, not just our own music, but we were kind of getting into that stuff. So that's kind of a long answer, but I like everything.
We like long answers.
Yeah, good.
Excellent, that's great. So now you have a new album coming out called Sinking Houseboat Confusion.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate on the concept of that new album?
Well, a year ago, a writer named Sammy Stein, who's a British writer, she asked me, she said, if you could describe your music in 3 words, what would you describe it as? And I thought, and over time, I've just thought about that, and the name Sinking Houseboat Confusion, okay, it's funny, it's silly, it doesn't make a lot of sense sometimes, it makes you smile, so hopefully that is my music, hopefully. There's not a lot of deep meaning, there can be if you want there to be. We did an album called Peace and Stability Among Bears. We did a record called Clockhead Goes to Camp. It's silly. See, it makes you smile. My intent is to make people smile and connect with people on a one-to-one basis and with our music, and to find people that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
And with the word confusion, would you say that there's any improv in that album as well?
There is. There's a lot of improvisation throughout. And confusion may also describe how the album shifts genres from like kind of a lilting folk thing into surf rock. There's some punk elements in there. So the confusion element maybe describes the eclectic nature of the music.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, excellent. Great. All right. So now, besides the saxophone, you play the flute, clarinet, and oboe. Now, we did mention that one of your favorite instruments is the guitar. Do you have any other favorite instruments besides the saxophone? I would assume your favorite would be the saxophone.
You know what? I actually love the sound of the flute. I've always loved the flute. That was after saxophone, I picked up the flute next. I played saxophone since I was 10. I heard this kid named Chris Oldfield playing the Pink Panther. So I was hooked on saxophone early on. Yeah. But I picked up flute in high school and early on in college. I was playing with folk groups around the Rochester, New York area, which is my hometown. So I would say the flute would probably be my next favorite instrument to listen to and to play. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Great. And besides your bandmates, what musicians inspire your aesthetic the most?
Other than my bandmates, well, the composers that I mentioned, certainly Steve Reich, Philip Glass. That's for composition. But as musicians, I mean, as an alto player, I love Greg Osby. We got to share a double bill with Greg Osby at the Triad Theater in New York about a year ago. I love Greg. Great guy, great person. Lee Konitz, who is still very much active. He's in his 80s and still performing. Another alto player that I'm very influenced by. Ornette Coleman, who sadly just left. He just died, and he was God bless him. What an amazing musician. So I was very influenced by Ornette and his harmonic concept. Using chromaticism and using sort of a rapidly shifting tonality in his solos. I would say Ornette Coleman, possibly more than anybody, has influenced me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And just going back to when you were in Boston, and you were learning, you were also, you did tours internationally with the group Musener, that's
right. Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
Can you elaborate on that experience and how was that?
Yeah.
You went to Switzerland?
Yeah. Ara Sarkisian is a great pianist in Boston, and he's got a 9-piece Armenian folk jazz ensemble. It's almost like Daniel Bennett Group in a way, only it's Armenian folk, which actually at the time I knew nothing about. So we toured, we did some stuff in Switzerland, Italy. We played obviously all over the U.S., quite a bit in Boston. I lived in Boston for 7 years, so I was able to be a part of that scene. And the great Ken Field on alto sax. I played tenor in that group. Blake Newman on bass. So really fun ensemble of some really cool players.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. And how was, I guess, the scene internationally?
Oh, it's great. We played around Milan. We played in Zurich. There's a lot of great listeners out there. People are very hungry to hear new music. It's very exciting. Especially with the internet nowadays, with information just shooting out, you can reach a lot of people all over the globe. People are very hungry.
And now, with all the tours you have done, in the band you're in now, and in any other band, what would you say was your favorite place to go?
I loved the Northwest. We just got back from Seattle. We did some gigs out there. I love San Francisco. We toured that area, the Bay Area. We go to Florida twice a year. I mean, everybody loves going to Florida. Some great venues in Orlando. There's a place called the Timucua Arts Center, which is a beautiful space for jazz and classical music primarily. For me, wherever I am, I'm happy. I shouldn't, not always, but I mean, that's the goal.
Okay.
The audience, I always tell people, I will give to the audience as long as the audience gives to me, and then we both give.
Right.
And if that happens, I'm happy. I mean, we did a tour in Kansas a year ago. Who would think that there was jazz happening in Kansas? Some of our best audiences We're in Kansas. We did a
Okay.
concert at the Topeka Library. There was 200 people in the audience, and there was an auditorium, a little auditorium in the library. So wherever the people are, I'm there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And does that also go for like the music scene? Like what city has the best music scene in your opinion?
They all do. That's my political answer. No, well, I mean, obviously, I live in Manhattan. I love.
Right.
New York has a great scene, and it's world class, and I'm deeply involved in it. We just did our big concert at the Metropolitan Room. We play at a place called Tommy Jazz in Midtown Manhattan every month. We play at the Residence Inn Times Square every week on Thursday nights. So I love. I mean, obviously, that's my home. But Boston's got a great scene. Chicago's got a great scene. Seattle, people now with the way that information is being shared, I feel like there's music happening everywhere. Okay. Everywhere. It's very exciting.
And how do you like the Philadelphia area?
I love Philadelphia. And no, I didn't mean to leave it out. Listen, now let me tell you this. We're going to be performing, tonight we're performing at the Berwyn Library Music Series. That's a little bit outside Philly area. But we're coming back. We'll be in Philadelphia at the Philadelphia City Institute on, I don't remember, it's early August. And then we're also playing at this place called the French Bistro Jazz Cafe, also in Philly, early August. That's on our website. But I love playing here. Chris's Cafe, that's like the greatest, that's like one of the great jazz venues in the world. World class. So I love Philadelphia.
Great.
Yeah.
Good answer.
Okay, I passed the test.
All right, so I do have one more question for you. Now, you do have some experience on Broadway. Now, those performances and productions, how did they contribute to your musical abilities?
Well, it keeps you on your toes. You have to be very versatile. You have to play many instruments, and you have to, know what you're doing. And work really hard to make sure you know what you're doing. It's not an easy route. I just wrapped up, this is about a year ago, I played in an off-Broadway show called Blank the Musical. It was a joint production of Upright Citizens Brigade, Second City, which is a Chicago-based comedy troupe, and then Improv Boston. It was an amazing show. It was all improvised. The band, the music, everything, the singing, the acting. There was audience participation. So I love those sort of fringe kind of experimental, but this was a big deal. This was at New World Stages in New York, right across the hallway from Avenue Q. So it was a really cool, that was a fun production. And I do some Broadway subbing, and I've also written some music for the Hudson Guild Theater. So I enjoy composing too when I can for different, theater productions. So but to answer your question, it keeps you on your toes. It humbles you. It's not easy. I mean, leading a band is very challenging in a different way, but being in a pit orchestra is very, very, very challenging, and you have to wear many hats and be good at what you're doing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, do you see any teaching in your future, or mentoring yourself?
Yeah, right. I teach at the New York Jazz Academy in Times Square. Private lessons, improv mostly, jazz theory, improvisation. So I do really enjoy that. I also do some teaching at the Bloomingdale's School of Music on the Upper West Side of New York, which is also a great school with some amazing students. I've done some college teaching. Lately I have not been able to do a whole lot of extensive teaching, because of the tour schedule. But I think right now it's in a good place for me because I can teach and I can give back to people, but I can also continue to write and compose and travel.
Right. And I do want to know if you have any inspirational things to say to those who are out there, struggling artists, trying to make it and become a person like yourself. Yeah,
make your own way. Do it. Work hard. You can do it. I tell people all the time, do not listen to the negative people, and if that means tuning off social media for a little bit and then not listening to that, you have to forge your own path. You have to know who to listen to and who to ignore. And the people who complain the most are always the people who are not succeeding. They're failing at this. So they complain. And that drags everybody down. You have to ignore those people. You have to follow your own path. Work really, really hard. Network, say yes, smile, be enthusiastic. You have to be an actor. You have to put on you have to put on the face and present yourself and show up and be brave. You have to fail a lot. I would say 98% of people won't even get out the door because they're so afraid of failing. They're terrified. Let me tell you, if you want to be successful, you are going to fail thousands of times. You'll fail a lot more than people who are sitting at home. Believe me, it's much safer to just sit at home.
Right.
But if you really want to put yourself out there, you have to fail. And that's what I would say is fail hard. Do it with style.
Right.
Fail with style.
Yes.
And you will make your own way.
Definitely. I totally agree with that, because if fear drives your decision making, you'll never find true joy.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
Well, Daniel, thank you again for coming in and sharing your expertise and playing for us. We also appreciate your band as well.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Great, great, great. And again, this is Bringing Saxy Back, and thank you for tuning in, and see you next time. I'm your host, Lady Feick.